Welcome to the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Sometimes you just have to clean out the bad shit, clean out the bad energy, and start all over. And Patry fishing definitely has been a journey for me. I started Patry fishing over 12 years ago. That's one of the first things I learned how to do when I started as a captain. And I have to tell you, what I've seen over the past 3 years was pretty discouraging on how the fish were moving and what was going on out there, just because of the sheer amount of boat pressure. And Seymour Maps has opened up a lot of stuff to people out there. So, but, I'm not going to go on. It's so funny as I turn on a lot of podcasts now, and I hear a lot about the negative about what it used to be like 10 years ago and the green water and the Everglades stuff that's happening, and how you used to be able to catch 100 tarpon a day, and how we used to be able to catch so many dolphin. And, I kind of found myself falling into that a little bit, not because it's not who I am. It's because that's what constantly was being pounded into my head. And this fall, I was like, I kind of woke up one morning and I was like, what the fuck, So Patry, I was kind of scared to go into this Patry fishing season just because of what I've seen and from years past. And I was like, absolutely not. So I asked Melinda to help me through some blocks. And that's one thing she does as a business coach, is that she helps people get to that next level and helps them clean blocks and what's happening with themselves so they can, run their business effectively. And I'm just fortunate enough that I have my wife is a business coach. I'm super fortunate, and plus she is, my business partner. So I worked through a lot of stuff, and I have to say is that I went into this season Patry fishing with a totally different attitude, and I said I'm going to do everything different this year, and I have to say my results have been fantastic. Full tables of mutton snappers, full tables of mangrove snappers. I've gotten back to basics on what I'm doing as far as finding fish, tracking movements. I've gone back to like 10 years of data and I just analyzed a lot of my data and that I had from years past to make it work for me, and yeah. So that's where I'm at now. And now the big thing is just trying to teach people is that you can catch these really big fish inside the reef. And sometimes you're wasting your time by fishing outside the reef for mutton snappers and groupers. Truth. So there's a lot of tricks to it. And that's what I'm teaching in the Good Karma Fishing Club this winter. We're going through different maps. I'm showing them what to look for and what to avoid now since, things have changed. I'm showing them what people are going to fish and what people are not going to fish. So those are things that I'm teaching them. And I'm just teaching them my process is what I'm doing. So if you're interested in joining the club, you can email me at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com. And the cost is $279 a month. And if you'd like to get involved with the on the water seminars, I require a payment in full for the year. So if you're interested in joining, you can email me at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com. So here's my tip for you guys when it comes to targeting mutton snappers on patch reefs or on the reef for that matter, okay? Using conventional rods or using spinning rods. So on the patch reefs, I like to use spinning rods. That's what I like to use, okay? And when you're mutton snapper fishing, you're chumming, and you're fishing with folks that want to keep catching on shrimp, and they want to keep that action going, so they're constantly catching. But when you're looking for large mutton snappers, the rods really have to sit in the holders, or you have to have somebody manning the rod at all times, paying out line. So what I did this year is I added a gadget to my rod. And you guys all know that I like gadgets. So there's no secret that I'm always looking for fun gadgets to try to keep things new and interesting. So this year I'm using a product called the Ghost Drag. And it's a line release that attaches to your rod. Okay, so what you do is what we're doing when we're mutton snapper fishing is we throw the line way back there with the live bait on or the dead bait. And then what I do is I grab the very tip of the line that's coming out of the reel. So I grab the line that's coming directly out of the last eye, and then I pull it down, and then I attach it to the ghost drag. Okay, so I can adjust the tension on the ghost drag for wind and stuff. So if you have a larger bait, you can adjust it to be a little tighter so that bait doesn't pop the line. And a lot of guys use, I used to use copper wire and bait runners. I absolutely despise that stuff. And I was looking for a product like this, so I was so happy when I found it. And I have to say that the testing that I've done over the past few weeks has been phenomenal. So it allows me to get that, like I said, when it's really windy on the Patrice, you want to control your line. So I like to keep the line really low to the water, and by grabbing the line at the end of the rod tip, I can bring the line down to the release clip. So, and I just throw out the bait, and then let it go to the bottom, and then I put the line in the release clip, into the ghost drag release clip, and we just leave it in the holder. And then the guys are casting, doing their thing. The line's managed now. When you have a rod that's setting high, like a longer spinning rod, and then you got your braid line like swaying in the breeze, the bait doesn't hold very well. So by using this release clip called the ghost drag, you can manage that line like it's very well. Let's just put it like that. So I found that by using it, it's really helped out a lot on my fishing charters. So, and it's allowed the guys to like go ahead and continue to cast, and the big rod stays out of the way more. A lot of guys put their shit on outriggers, and I have to say, guys, that does not work very well, because the wind grabs the line, blows the bait around, the bait doesn't hold still. So sometimes what you see on TV is just, they want it to, it may work once in a while, but it does not work all the time. Just saying. So, but I have to say that I've been using this product now for a while, for 3-4 weeks, and absolutely love it. What happens is when you're mutton snapper fishing, like I said, you don't want that fish to feel anything when he picks it up. Okay? That also goes for sailfish. So this works in combination too. And I'm going to be using this for live bait for wahoo fishing as well. So what happens is whenever you're in a situation where you need to present the bait without allowing the line to spill off, yet offer this zero resistance, the ghost drag is for you. Okay? They basically, what happens is they take that rod, they take the line, and it pops off the release with very little tension, and you've got your bail open on the spinner. It allows them to take off, and then you just have your angler pick it up. You point the rod at the water, have him count to 3, and reel hard and fast to set that circle hook. So if you're using circles, it's awesome for ballyhoo fishing, for slow trolling ballyhoo. I'm so happy that I found these and that I actually tried them, and they're working. So now also too on the Patrice, you can have a guy, if a guy really wants to like hold the rod and the bite's a little slow, you can do what you can just start feeding out the ballyhoo, the live ballyhoo. You can use the knocker rig. You can use the good old, I call it the Boynton beach rig now, because the guys that are fishing with me, a lot of guys from Boynton are like, they always give me shit because they had an awesome summer of mutton snapper fishing up there, and they're like, now we're the mutton snapper fishing experts, Captain. And I was like, oh my God, you guys are comical. But so they have I call it Boynton Beach because the guys want to try it down here. And now they learn that not all methods work in similar areas. So you guys, I know I just busted you guys. So you guys know how many people messaged me about the Boynton Beach mutton snapper fishing this year? People that I didn't even know. I was like, look what we're catching up here, Captain. I was like, good for you guys. I'm happy. You guys have no idea. I'm like thrilled that people catch fish. That anywhere. Anytime you're fishing, it's all good. I don't care how you're catching them or what you're doing. So, but when you're down here Patrice fishing, you can use the old Boynton Beach method, I call it. What you do is you got a sliding sinker and you throw it on there and you just keep letting the line go out, okay? And until the mutton snapper picks it up. And sometimes they're way back in the chum. Sometimes they'll follow the bait. I like using ballyhoo. That's the natural forage for the mutton snapper on the patch reefs. They follow the ballyhoo schools down here. They come out of the Gulf every year. They follow the ballyhoo schools. They get underneath the ballyhoo. You guys have seen various videos where the netters are netting ballyhoo, and then the ballyhoo come up, and then the guys try to catch the mutton snappers coming up into the ballyhoo. It's like, it's just how it goes. So the fish follow ballyhoo along the edge. That's how it, happens every year. So in the fall. So find some ballyhoo. Get a couple ghost drags. Try it out. Ghostdrag.com. www.ghostdrag.com. Try it out, man. Give them a follow on Instagram. No, I'm not sponsored by them. And I just like the product. And I know a lot of people that listen to this podcast are willing to try new things. And I'm always willing to try new things. Like I said, I love gadgets. So give this gadget a try. I think you can buy it off Amazon. I'll put a link in my bio. That way you guys, if you guys, for supporting this podcast, you can click on the link, and then I'll get a little bit of affiliate, kickback from that. Not much, a couple pennies, but that's what I appreciate for you guys that are listening to this podcast and you find something that works. The way you pay it forward is you share the podcast, you follow on Instagram, you follow on YouTube, you say thank you. Thank you goes a long way with most people, too. So there's one person out there that, and I was going to talk about this a few months ago, and I'm going to end the podcast with this. And he was he was a special fishing guide. And him and I, we did rub, we didn't get along very well on the water, but we got along fairly well at the dock. And when I started in the business, Captain Joe Petrucco was somebody that I had watched on TV, and I had followed for many years before I became a fishing guide. And when I moved into Tavernier Creek Marina, Joe was running a big sea hunter there at the time, and I moved in with my 23. And Joe was special. So he always had a really smart-ass comeback. I remember the first time I gave him a fishing lure that I couldn't use, and he always asked me what the what the catch was. What was I up to? And I was like, I didn't get it. I just couldn't use the lure, and I asked him if he wanted to use it. So the guy could catch fish. And, here I am in my 23 doing it. And I started catching a few wahoo. Joe would come in. He has some nice mutton snappers, and he would catch some of the biggest tuna that I'd ever seen come off the hump. And some of the things that he shared with me were he would catch these giant blackfins using small tunas, small blackfin tunas, monsters, and not bonito blackfin tunas, small bullet-sized blackfins. And he'd put those down at the hump, and the tunas guys that he would catch, and he would catch an occasional yellowfin on it and bring it back in, and I was just in awe. And whenever I needed some sort of help, no matter what was happening at the dock, and or what kind of narrative him and I had, I could always call him and ask him a question, and he was always pretty knowledgeable, and always willing to share with me. One of the best stories I had about Captain Joe was towards his end there when he was guiding at Tavernier Creek, and he was getting ready to move on and to another job in Alaska for a while. The fishing got really tough, and the dolphins started to disappear. And Joe was the master at the run and gun, and he would get so pissed when the fish weren't around that he would upsell the clients to go to the Bahamas to catch fish. That's what he did. He would burn them over there. And one of the best ones was they pulled into the bank, there, and he upsold the clients to run over. He said, "Oh man, I just couldn't find any fish. I got pissed, so I went to the Bahamas." And he kept doing it and kept doing it. And so one day he was there, and they would catch these giant yellowtails on poppers there, and he'd go there and catch a few wahoo. There were days he came back, didn't catch anything. And this is a funny one. He had these guys that used to fish with him all the time, and he took them over there. And Joe also had some commercial licensing where he could sell fish. And they took him over there. They were casting, and a big school of giant yellowfin tuna showed up, mixed in with the yellowtails in the Bahamas while they were casting. And Joe and his mate, and I remember Joe telling me the story, Joe grabbed the rod from the charter guys and said, "We're done for the day." He said, "Charter's over." Him and his mate started casting and catching these big yellowfins so they could take back and sell. And then finally the other guys, he said, I let the other guys, they got the fish too, but I wanted to make sure I caught my yellowfins because I don't get to do that very often. And then they brought back some big yellowfins that day to Tavernier Creek, and he gave us some fish, and it was so funny. Just to see the look on his face and the smile was something else. But Joe moved on, and he taught me a lot about sea witches and stuff, and the simple ways to catch dolphin when Joe was willing to share. And most of the time he was willing to, he was always there when I needed a hand. And so I got the word that Joe passed away of pancreatic cancer in the fall. And it was really disturbing because I didn't get a chance to, and I was very upset when I recorded the podcast because I didn't get a chance to say goodbye, and I didn't get a chance to say thank you for the things that you showed me and his attitude as a fishing guide. He knew his way around clients. He knew his way around. He knew how to stand up for himself. He knew a lot about hunting bait. I remember he would say, "You need to get some pilchards today," and he would, load my well up with pilchards sometimes. It was just those, he had random acts of kindness. And one day he'd give me a nugget out of the blue. He'd say, "Here, you need to learn this," with no like this is what you need to learn today. And he was pretty firm about it. So, and when somebody is willing to share something that's been doing it for a long time, you need to be willing to say thank you. And for all you young kids coming into this, I mean young kids that are starting businesses and down here in the Keys, and you guys aren't kids, and grown men, just know that if you have somebody that's decides it's going to mentor you and give you little bits of nuggets, you guys need to be thankful, because you don't know if that guy's going to be gone tomorrow or not. And I wish I would have been a little bit more grateful, to be honest with you. I look back on the person I was back then versus the person I am now. It's a different fishing guide. So I want to dedicate this podcast to Captain Joe Petrucco. He was the man. That dude fished hard, and he could run circles around a lot of these guys out there right now trying to do it. And so he had a crazy fun personality, and those are the little things I looked at Joe. And then there are days you're like, oh my God, I gotta go hide. That's Joe. But God bless you, bud. I miss you. Thank you for everything, and you really were there. So you really did affect me and help me with a few things. So thank you. All right, guys. That's all I got for today. Get yourselves out there. Do some patry fishing. Have fun, man, because I got to tell you, life is way too short. Okay? Way too short. And don't let these people convince you that you need to be outside the reef every day. It's not the way it is. A lot of people are filming down here now that only film when it's nice. They tell you things that are not true. So just be careful of the type of content that you consume as well, because it's not the way things are. Okay? So I want you guys to be very mindful about what you listen to and what you're actually doing out there. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And also, too, be mindful about who you're hanging out with and who you're fishing with. as well. Spend time with people that really are going to like be there for you, that are really there for the right reasons, and that goes with anything in your job too. In your job, when you're just be careful of who you're like associating yourself with, because who you associate yourself with, that's a picture of you as well. Okay. And if you associate with the wrong person, then everybody looks at you a little bit differently. And if you're trying to get somewhere professionally in your job, then it may not be wise. I don't know. I got lots of those little tips I can provide you, but that's, and also to Instagram. My dad has always taught me one thing, and that's like, if you don't have anything good to say on don't say it at all. A lot of guys want to vent and put that negative chatter into Instagram. By doing that, what that does is you're not saying that out loud, okay? You're typing that. And when you type that shit, it's your brain that's doing it. It's not coming out. And that affects your DNA. Whether you guys think it does or not, it affects the way that you act and all that stuff. And what's going to happen is if you're continually doing that, you're not going to be able to think through the process. You're not going to be able to catch fish. And all this other bad shit's going to happen in your life. You don't think so? Watch, because it's going to happen. Okay? So, karma's a bitch. Believe me, I know. Been there. Been slapped in the face. Okay? So, get out there, help somebody out, say thank you, enjoy your life, and God bless. Follow me on Instagram, goodkarmasportfishing_FL_keys. If you want to get involved with my private fishing club this year, you can email me at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com. Again, the price is $279, and if you want to get involved with the on-the-water seminars, it's a pay in full option. Charter fishing, you can book me through goodkarmaryan@gmail.com. You can check out my website for my information on pricing. I don't offer a 4-hour trip. I offer a minimum 6 hours and 8 hours. That's all I got. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.